Welcome to my channel English Stories Hub. Snow drifted sideways along Main Street, the kind of soft, glowing snowfall that made small American towns look like movie sets. Christmas Eve had wrapped everything in lights and quiet hope. Emma Carter tugged her coat tighter as she stood outside Miller's diner, staring at the fogged-up window. Somewhere inside, her blind date was already waiting, or maybe not. She let out a nervous laugh that sounded more like a puff of fog. Ha ha ha, what was she even doing? At 32, Emma had promised herself she was done with blind dates. Too many awkward dinners, too many forced smiles, too many men who talked about themselves like they were giving a TED talk. But her best friend Lily had sworn this one was different. Trust me, Lily had said over the phone. He's kind, and it's Christmas Eve. What's the worst that could happen? Emma pushed the door open, bells jingling overhead, warmth rushed over her along with the smell of coffee and pie. The diner was half full, families laughing, a couple arguing softly over pancakes, an old man humming along to a carol on the radio. Then she saw him. He stood up immediately, knocking his knee into the booth. "Oh, sorry," he said, laughing at himself. "You must be Emma." She smiled before she could stop herself. "You must be the mysterious blind date." "Guilty," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Jack." His handshake was warm, steady. That alone calmed something in her chest. They slid into the booth, menus untouched as conversation stumbled forward, then found its rhythm. Jack talked about growing up nearby, leaving for college, then coming back when his dad got sick. Emma listened, nodding, her heart squeezing just a little. She shared her own story, moving to the town after a rough breakup, learning to live alone again. There was an awe moment when Jack listened without interrupting, without trying to fix anything. Outside, snow piled higher. Inside, laughter bubbled up easily. Jack told a story about burning a Thanksgiving turkey so badly the smoke alarm summoned the neighbors. Emma laughed so hard her eyes watered. For the first time in a long while, she forgot to check the time. But when the conversation slowed, something unspoken hung between them. Emma's phone buzzed. A message from her mother. "Wish you were here. Christmas feels quieter this year." Emma swallowed. Her father had passed away 2 Christmases ago, and the holidays still felt fragile. Jack noticed the change. "You okay?" She hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, just Christmas stuff." He didn't push, just smiled gently. "Yeah, Christmas does that." They paid the bill and stepped back into the cold. Snowflakes landed in Emma's hair, melting instantly. Jack shoved his hands into his pockets, suddenly shy. "Would you like to take a walk?" he asked. "There's a park nearby." "They've got lights everywhere." Emma looked at him, then at the glowing street, then back at him. Her heart whispered yes before her brain could argue. "Sure," she said. They walked side by side, boots crunching, shoulders brushing. Somewhere in the distance, church bells rang. Emma felt something stir, hope maybe, or fear, or both. She had no idea that this night, this simple blind date, was about to change the shape of her Christmas forever. But what Emma didn't know was that Jack was carrying a secret that would turn this magical night into something far deeper than a first date. The park looked like a postcard. White lights wrapped around bare branches, blowing softly against the snow. Children ran past them, laughing, while parents called out half-hearted warnings. Emma hugged her coat closer, but Jack noticed immediately. "Cold?" he asked. "A little." Without making a big deal of it, he draped his scarf around her neck. The gesture was simple, but it lenched hard in her chest. "Aw," she smiled, her cheeks warming despite the cold. They sat on a bench dusted with snow, brushing it off with their gloves. For a moment, neither spoke. The quiet felt comfortable, like an old sweater. "My dad used to bring me here every Christmas Eve," Jack said suddenly. "We'd count how many light strands were out." Emma laughed softly. "That sounds very official." "Oh, it was." He took it seriously. Jack's smile faded just a little. Emma felt it before she saw it. "You said he was sick?" Jack nodded. "He passed last spring." Her breath caught. "I'm so sorry." He shrugged, but his eyes shone. "Yeah. This is my first Christmas without him." The words hit her straight in the heart. Weeping threatened, but she held it back, resting her hands together instead. "It's my second without my dad," she said quietly. Jack turned to her, surprised. Something unspoken connected them in that moment. A shared ache, raw and real. "Funny," he said. "I almost canceled tonight." Emma blinked. "Why?" "I didn't think I'd be good company. Felt wrong to go on a date when everything feels heavy." "And now?" He smiled, softer than before. "Now I'm glad I didn't." Snow fell thicker, settling on their shoulders. Emma felt the weight of the year pressing down, loss, loneliness, survival, but sitting there with Jack made it lighter, like sharing the load. They stood and wandered toward a small bridge wrapped in garlands. Jack stopped halfway across, hands gripping the railing. "There's something I should tell you," he said. Emma's stomach tightened. Here it was, the twist, the reason blind dates were dangerous. "Okay," she said, bracing herself. "I'm not actually staying in town long," Jack admitted. "I got a job offer in Chicago. I leave after New Year's." Her heart sank before she could stop it. "Ha ha ha, of course this would happen. Oh, I didn't plan to meet anyone," he rushed on. "This was supposed to be just a night." Emma nodded, forcing a smile. Blind dates usually are. Silence stretched between them, thick as the falling snow. Emma stared down at the frozen creek below. She had promised herself she wouldn't open her heart to someone leaving. Not again. "I should probably head home," she said gently. Jack's face fell. "Yeah, I get that." They walked back toward the diner, slower now. At her car, Jack hesitated. "I'm really glad I met you, Emma." She met his eyes. "Me too." They shared a brief hug, warm and lingering. Then she got into her car and drove away, blinking back tears as Christmas lights blurred into streaks of color. She told herself it was better this way. Just a moment, just a memory. But Christmas Eve wasn't done with them yet. Just when Emma thought this story had ended, one unexpected moment would pull her back into Jack's world. Emma's house was quiet when she arrived, the kind of quiet that felt louder on holidays. She kicked off her boots, set her keys down, and leaned against the door. Her chest ached in that dull, familiar way. She laughed under her breath. Ha ha ha, a blind date on Christmas Eve was supposed to be harmless. She poured herself a mug of cocoa and sat by the window, watching snow swirl beneath the streetlight. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "This is Jack. I know this is sudden, but I couldn't let the night end like that." As he heart skipped, she typed, erased, typed again. "What's up?" A few seconds passed. Then, "Can I come by? Just for a minute. Just for a minute." She hesitated, then sent her address before she could overthink it. 10 minutes later, headlights swept across her living room wall. Emma opened the door to find Jack standing there, snow-dusted and breathless. "I realized something," he said, words stumbling out. "I've been running my whole life, leaving when things get hard. And tonight meeting you, it felt wrong to walk away." Emma crossed her arms, protecting herself. "You're still leaving." Jack nodded. "I am, but I don't want this to be nothing. Silence, the kind that vibrates." "I don't do goodbyes," Emma said quietly. "They hurt too much." Jack's voice softened. "Then don't think of it as one." He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small folded paper. "My dad used to write me letters. For when I was scared, I found one last week." He handed it to her. Emma unfolded it carefully. The handwriting was shaky but strong. "Don't be afraid to choose joy, even if it doesn't last forever." Her throat tightened. Weeping came this time, silent tears sliding down her cheeks. Jack stepped closer. "I don't know where this goes," he said, "but I know I don't want to pretend tonight didn't matter." Emma looked at him, really looked. The sincerity, the fear, the hope. She laughed through tears. "You're doing a terrible job of keeping this casual." He smiled. "I've never been good at casual." She took a step forward, resting her forehead against his chest. His arms wrapped around her, steady and warm. Outside, a church bell rang midnight. "Merry Christmas," she whispered. "Merry Christmas," he replied. They stayed like that for a long moment, breathing together, letting the night settle. When Jack finally left, Emma didn't feel empty. She felt full. Whatever this was, it was real, and sometimes real was enough. But as Christmas morning dawned, Emma would face a decision that could change everything she thought she wanted. Christmas morning arrived wrapped in pale light and fresh snow. Emma woke with Jack's words echoing in her mind. She sat up, heart racing, knowing something had shifted. She wasn't the same woman who'd walked into that diner the night before. Her phone buzzed again. "I'm at the park, the bridge. If you want to talk." She didn't hesitate this time. She pulled on a coat and boots and stepped into the cold. Jack stood exactly where he'd said, hands tucked into his sleeves, breath puffing into the air. When he saw her, his face lit up like the town's Christmas tree. "I didn't know if you'd come," he said. "I did," she replied, "because I didn't want to spend another Christmas hiding." They walked slowly, the snow crunching beneath them. Jack stopped at the bridge again. "I called Chicago this morning," he said. Emma's heart jumped. "And?" "I asked if I could start in the spring instead." Her breath caught. Why? Because I want to see where this goes, he said simply. No promises, just honesty. Emma laughed, a sound full and bright. Ha ha ha, life was strange and terrifying and beautiful. I can do honesty. They stood together, watching the creek move slowly beneath the ice. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in years, that didn't scare her. Jack reached for her hand. She squeezed back. Sometimes, love didn't arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it came quietly, on a snowy Christmas Eve, disguised as a blind date. And sometimes, that was enough to change everything. But their story was only just beginning, and the next chapter would test everything they had just found up there. Moral of the story is, true connections don't follow perfect timing, they appear when hearts are honest and open. Loss and fear may shape us, but choosing hope can quietly change our future. Even brief moments of courage can lead to beginnings we never planned but deeply need. Thanks for watching my video. Please subscribe my channel and like, comment on my video. Bye guys.